Hey everyone, welcome back to my Substack. I'm so excited for today's Substack post because it's my very first interview. Here with me is Tamara Luck. She
Hi.
is my nutritionist, and some of you guys might know her if you've been along with me for a lot of my rent and release circles. We had a circle together. How long ago was it? Was it like a year and a half
It
ago,
was
I think?
almost a year ago, yeah, at
Yeah,
least.
yeah. And it was so fun. And so I obviously love you so much and I thought you were like the perfect guest because I really wanted to talk about kind of dive in a little bit to like wellness and especially my journey and everything that I have sort of witnessed over this past year with working with you and really just bringing up the topic of kind of balancing blood sugar levels because working with you I've learned so much that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about and I was able to heal a lot of things with nutrition and I just think it's something that everyone really needs to be more knowledgeable about. So thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is something I love talking about, and I think you and I both are just super excited to share it with other people too, because we know how much it's helped us in our journey too.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to start kind of sharing my background with you guys watching. I it was my physical of 2024 where I got, blood work done and it basically showed that my A1C levels was in the pre-diabetic range. So my blood sugar was really high and I was really freaking out about it and it was also my lifestyle and kind of diets. I knew that I just wasn't doing my best and I wasn't feeling that well and kind of seeing it in my blood work really made me freak out and also just because I have a family history really that a lot of people on my mom's side are diabetic and have had a lot of health complications. So I really was like, okay, I want to take this serious because I don't want to head down the road that I've seen a lot of my family members go down. And I really wanted to get serious about my health and wellness and lifestyle. And I had already been to one of your retreats, Tamara, and I remember I was like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to her because I just feel like I loved the way that you spoke about nutrition, and I just felt like this could be a really good, partnership, and it was. So, yeah, I just think over this past year, with the tips that you were able to teach me, and I've told you this before too, is that I couldn't believe how easy it was. I think a lot of times we get really thrown off with, all of these kind of things that we hear online about diet and nutrition and thinking it has to be so restrictive. And no, and it was so easy for me to implement. And I really saw results in my blood work this year. I was able to
Yes.
completely lower my A1C and get out
Yay.
of the pre diabetic range. And so that's what I really wanted to dive in today about and get a little bit of Tamara's knowledge. Obviously, you would have to work with her one on one if you wanted to get really into things. But yeah, so that's kind of my background and why I wanted you here with me today.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that too. I think probably a lot of people can relate to that feeling too of being in the doctor's office. And I mean, to give you a little bit of credit too, it's not like your diet and lifestyle were terrible before. I think it was just, yeah, like you said, making simple tweaks that just worked better with your biology to now get you out of the pre-diabetic range, which is a really awesome accomplishment.
Right.
So yeah, I can share a little bit just about how I kind of, or part of why I'm so passionate about this, but
Please.
it's really interesting. When I was in school to be a dietitian, we really didn't go over blood sugar that much, more so just in the context of someone maybe with type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes. But we'll sort of just talk about the type 2 type of diabetes because that's not the autoimmune type. And it just sort of is interesting because, especially when someone's just in that pre diabetic range, they have a really awesome opportunity to reverse it. And it's a bit unfair when someone gets diagnosed with type 2 diabetes because there was probably several years where they were in the pre-diabetic range where making lifestyle and food choices could have reversed them versus go down the progression to the actual disease. So I'm really passionate about taking a holistic approach to nutrition, and part of that is the prevention piece. So you're kind of a great example of something was a little bit off and you were able to prevent something from, or yeah, prevent the dynamic from going into type 2 diabetes. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and it was, yeah, I just still even can't believe it because I just thought, I don't know. Again, I think a lot of people think that the journey is going to be really hard or, like I said, restrictive. And attacking it from this holistic approach and being able to really see the results, how it reversed, not only just in the blood work, but just how I was feeling in my body and everything. Yeah, it was just super amazing. So that's why I'm just a huge advocate for really spreading this information. And so thank you again. I
Yeah,
was so
me
excited to get
too.
into it.
Yeah, now that I know so much about it, I'm like, why weren't we taught this from day one on? And
Yeah.
maybe you can share a little bit about your symptoms too, but I can just share personally. I have a lot of joint inflammation and joint pain. Um, they were trying to diagnose me with rheumatoid arthritis. I never quite fell into um, the official ranges to be diagnosed, but I think it's because I had done so much work on my health and wellness that by the time I actually got an appointment and got tested, my numbers were looking pretty good. But
Yeah.
the sort of last time I had a big flare, what had happened the day before was that I had a ton of carbohydrates, a ton of sugar, and just totally jacked up my blood sugar and woke up in a ton of joint pain, which is not necessarily maybe what some people are looking for, wouldn't necessarily correlate with blood sugar. But for me, it's made a really, really big impact on my joint health and inflammation overall. And I would say
Wow.
even my mood too. I definitely notice, and I think back to that day where I just woke up with my toes and fingers on fire. I could barely walk. My mood was also pretty bad too.
Yeah, that's so rough. I guess for the people watching, I guess if they don't even, maybe they haven't had their blood work done in a while, or what would you say are kind of the sort of symptoms that people most typically notice if they're dealing with kind of elevated blood sugar levels?
Yeah, great question. I can talk about maybe just some symptoms and then we can also maybe talk about some more like diseases or states that maybe people that those people should watch out for their blood sugar too. But I would say
Yeah.
kind of symptom wise, really commonly I see people that are really hangry
Mm.
or they need to eat really frequently. I had a client one time, she said that she couldn't even make it from work to home without having a snack. She had a long commute. She couldn't even make it that hour or an hour and a half without eating something,
Oh
or
my
else she felt
God.
like she was going to pass out. So,
Yeah, that was me. Like I
yeah.
was a heavy snacker for sure. But my
Yeah.
snack would be like Oreos. It's like, no, that's not.
Well, it biologically it makes sense. Our blood
Yeah.
sugar is crashing down. Your
Hmm.
brain looks around and says, "What can raise my blood sugar the quickest?" It's going to be the sugary stuff. So,
Yeah.
it's not even self-control at that point. It's just your brain. But yeah, so that hangriness, and not being able to eat or not being able to go long times without eating. And then maybe similarly, or some of those people that have those feelings too might describe to me that they feel like they can't lose weight. So maybe they feel like they're making an effort to work out or maybe I see people that they try and eat less and cut calories, and they're saying to me, I don't understand. I'm doing all the right things. My diet's good. I'm watching my calories. I'm watching what I eat, and I just cannot lose weight. To me, that's can be a really big sign that they might have a blood sugar imbalance.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the sort of side effects from starting to know how to eat to lower my blood sugar levels. Not that it wasn't even a goal of mine to lose weight, but I did end up losing like 10 pounds in the year, just kind of eating in a different way. You don't realize, like you kind of mentioned with your arthritis, of like the inflammation that your body's holding on to. Yeah, it's crazy. So,
Absolutely. And then, yeah, maybe just some other little symptoms too would be imbalanced energy. So maybe you feel like you have big energy rushes and then crashes, especially either right after a meal or an hour or two after a meal. I think
yeah.
sometimes I remember seeing commercials on TV about the 3 o'clock slump.
Yes.
And I remember, I think it was like for those little 100 calorie packs were probably like just pure carb and like no protein, like nothing to actually fill you up.
Yeah.
But sort of that energy slump, or maybe even feeling kind of brain fog around meal times, after meal times.
Yeah.
And some people might even get headaches or feel lightheaded and dizzy.
Right. Oh, yeah, I can. And that's the thing too. I feel like a lot of these symptoms, they're just so normalized in our society. Like, just like, I ate a meal, now I'm super tired, or all these things. And we think it's okay, but no, you're actually not supposed to feel like that after you eat.
Yeah, I also am someone that deals with headaches and migraines, and the blood sugar piece is definitely one of the triggers. And so it kind of took me
Wow.
realizing, okay, this is what I feel like when my blood sugar is really nice and balanced. this is what I feel like, or this is what happens when I'm not, and sort of being able to put those two together.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, and are these kind of the same signs that you would see from other clients that you had when, kind of dealing with the same thing?
Yeah, so I definitely have clients that are dealing with these symptoms and they actively want to work with it on them. Sometimes though, or I guess I shouldn't even say sometimes, realistically, I really work on blood sugar with every single client of mine. I just find that it is so important and so foundational in building a diet. And when I use the word diet, I just mean the sense of what one eats, not we're on a diet or off of a diet. But
Right.
I find,
Exactly.
yeah, I like to make that distinction. But it's just part of building a healthy diet. And so maybe what some people are coming to me what they're looking for help with might sound a little bit different. So I do have some people actively coming with me because they have a pre-diabetic or diabetic diagnosis. I have a lot of people that are coming to me with gut health issues and immune system, or excuse me, gut and inflammation are really intertwined. So I do feel like gut health patients get benefit from blood sugar. And sometimes eating in this way also just decreases bloating, which is a nice benefit too.
Yeah.
And then I would say the other common symptoms or things that people are looking for help with are hormonal imbalances, PCOS, and even sometimes endometriosis can be related to blood sugar. And then, as you mentioned, any inflammatory condition, including autoimmune diseases, can really benefit from blood sugar regulation.
Yeah, I would love to actually hit on how you just mentioned PCOS because I think it's something that unfortunately, a lot of women are seeing that they're sort of now, either being diagnosed with or even just thinking that they have. But it seems like a lot of the the knowledge out there is just telling us that there's no cure or there's no way to really help it. So I love that you just said that, even the blood sugar levels can contribute to that as well.
Yes, it's so interesting because something like PCOS is a hormonal imbalance. So we go to maybe our OBGYN for it, right? But what is causing or what is driving that hormonal imbalance is, for most people, insulin resistance or inflammation. Sometimes we can have some wonky periods or PCOS dynamics after coming off birth control, for example. But for the most part, it is mostly having to do with blood sugar imbalances and inflammation in the body that then causes a hormonal issue. So if someone goes to maybe their OBGYN with PCOS or gets diagnosed with that and they go on a pill, or some sort of hormonal birth control, it might help to balance the hormones, but that other piece of that blood sugar and insulin resistance still hasn't been addressed.
Yeah, this is huge.
Yeah, exactly.
We
And
don't talk
so,
about this. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
those, while they can, help you get a more regular period, they're really not addressing the root cause. So
Yeah.
this can be, yeah, so important for people with PCOS.
Wow. Okay. This is major.
I would say even endometriosis, I think there's maybe a little bit more about PCOS online right now.
Yeah.
Same would go for someone with endometriosis. It's a hormonal issue being caused by inflammation. And so blood sugar and dysregulated blood sugar is something that causes inflammation in the body.
Yeah.
That's why it hurt my joints. That's why it causes PCOS or maybe endometriosis. So many of us can benefit. I would say every one of us can benefit from learning about our blood sugar.
Yeah. Everyone. Yeah, because like I said, you just don't even realize how once you stabilize your blood sugar, how much it can help so many other functions in your body and just makes you feel better overall. So I love that. I would love to kind of get into, so whoever's listening who's intrigued right now, what would be, I guess, like some beginner tips just to really kind of, or best practices to really start, working on your diet or how you're eating or just anything that they can do to make sure that their blood sugar levels stay stabilized.
I love this one. The first one that I talk about with everyone is eating protein or fat with carbohydrates. Ideally, maybe even a vegetable in there, but I kind of like to think about our proteins, fats, and also our non-starchy vegetables. So our vegetables, except for potatoes and corn, on one side, and then on the other side we have our carbohydrates. So I'll put the potatoes and corn on this side and the carbs along with all of our breads, pastas, grains, and sweets. So whenever we go to grab for one of the carbohydrates, we want to make sure we have something from this category with it. And I think sometimes we do a pretty good job of that in our meals, but I'm thinking maybe say you're a little hungry, but you don't want a full meal. Maybe you're just grabbing like a cracker or a rice cake or a sweet little treat, and now you just have the carbs on their own.
Yeah, I have to say that this was definitely the biggest game changer for me because I remember like one of our first sessions, I'm like, hey, I kind of think I have a sugar addiction. Like, I'm like, are you telling me that I can't ever eat just like cookies again or, whatever? You're like, no. And you just taught me like how to eat it, just like having a little Chomps bar before I have the bag of chips or I'm like a freak about having like a little side salad before, heavy carb meals and things like that. Like it's so easy to implement. You're actually eating more. You're not restricting anything about what you're eating. And yeah, you feel it instantly. Like you're not getting that slump after your meals. Like I can just tell that my blood sugar is not being spiked just by making sure I'm eating that protein or a veggie before I indulge,
Yep. And it could be something that goes really nicely together. It could be making a dessert that is made out of Greek yogurt and has like extra protein in it. So it could all go really nicely together, or it could just be as simple as, having a Chomps bar before you eat something else.
Yeah.
But I do just want to point out what you said, that it is eating more calories. And I think sometimes people are a little scared about that.
Yeah.
Because say it's in between lunch and dinner, you want a snack, you don't want to eat too many calories. So you're trying to just grab something small to tide you over. That might spike your blood sugar, which could lead to more inflammation, more weight gain, versus when we add some of that protein and fat or a vegetable, then we can balance our blood sugar. So even though it's more calories, we're getting a much, much different and less inflammatory response in our body. So I kind of like to throw the calories out the door.
Yeah.
And
exactly. Like I said, it had the complete opposite effect for me, and I was like really shocked by it. So
yeah.
it's real, you guys.
Yes, it's kind of crazy, and we have to kind of retrain our brain. But something that I like to keep in mind is the phrase "no naked carbs." So if you're reaching for a treat or again a cracker or something like that, think, okay, what can I put with it? And just getting in that mindset or getting in that habit makes a huge difference.
Oh my God, I need like a magnet for my fridge that says that.
Yes, that's
That's
a good
awesome.
one.
It's so
Yeah, and I think the other one that you briefly touched on too is eating vegetables first in your meal. You mentioned having maybe a side salad before a meal, and this one is kind of crazy. It is so simple. It is just eating your vegetables before the other parts of your meal. For some reason, it is magical.
it is. Like
It has
literally.
changed people's lives, and I don't say that lightly. This tip alone has gotten some of my clients who could not lose weight to start losing weight. It's brought down inflammation for a lot of my clients really dramatically. And it's just as simple as eating the foods that you're already eating, but eating the vegetables first.
Yep, I love it. It's so good. If that's like the major takeaway, honestly, today, you guys, that should be it.
I agree. Because you don't need to even change what you're eating. You can definitely add a vegetable to what you're eating, but even if you have the same plate, just eat the vegetables first, then protein, then the carbohydrates last.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I guess what are some other kind of tips that they can start with? So we have, the kind of order of eating, but what else can people do?
Yeah, I would say something maybe sort of going back to your story too is sort of advocating for yourself when you're at the doctor's office. For some people, this is part of their routine lab work if they have a family history of diabetes, but for other people, it's not. So some of us need to advocate, or I think a lot of us need to advocate for having our doctor monitor and test these things.
Yes.
So the big things that I recommend looking for and getting tested are the hemoglobin A1C. That's a 3-month average of your blood sugar. I like to ask for the cholesterol panel that for a lot of people is already run, and looking at that triglyceride level. We want those triglycerides to be within normal range. When we have high blood sugars, those triglycerides go up. And then the very last one that I find is not as commonly run, but is very helpful, is something called fasting insulin. That hemoglobin A1C is a 3-month average, so we get all the highs and all the lows. I have some clients that have really dramatic highs and really dramatic lows, and that number looks normal. So having that fasting insulin is just another way to check how well someone is managing their blood sugar.
Okay, got it. Everyone, advocate for your labs because yeah, it's just crazy because I don't get tested every year, and a lot of people do, thankfully, but I think about 50% of people really don't. So again, like, it was only because I had this in my family history that they tested me for it about, a year ago. And so, yeah, I just gotta advocate for these tests because I would literally have no idea, and I could have been heading down like, a really kind of dangerous direction. So I love that.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's a lot easier to reverse something when it's in the very beginning stages than 10 years down the line. So you were in, for example, a really awesome place where you were able to reverse it.
Yeah.
And like you said, we didn't have to do any restriction. We did not calorie count. We did not take anything out of your diet. So yeah, it was really awesome to see you come out of that pre-diabetic range.
Thanks.
Okay. And then I guess I just have one more tip too, and that would be strength training and building muscle. I am passionate about this for women because we need it for our bone health and hormone health, but having more muscle on our body means that we're metabolically healthier, and that if we have two people, one person has no muscle mass and one person has a lot, and we feed them the same thing, the person with more muscle mass will have a better blood sugar response, a more stable blood sugar response than the person without muscle mass.
Wow. Yeah. It's
Yep.
crazy. And
It's
you
kind of
guys,
like oh, go ahead.
no, it's because of you that I actually started getting into weight training, and I love it now. Like, I really do. Yeah, I think it's a great tip, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun one too, right? Because you feel good working out, and then just kind of existing, you are already, after the workout, you are already have things inside of you that are making your food work better for you, which I think is just kind of a fun, like, neat little hack.
Okay, well, yeah, these were all such great tips. So thank you so much for sharing. I think we have a really good roadmap, for anyone who feels like they have experienced any of the symptoms that we talked about. Now having sort of a roadmap and just like those quick, easy little steps we can take to stabilize our blood sugar. Of course, nothing is as good as working with you one-on-one. So if you really feel like you're kind of struggling with any like severe symptoms, I highly recommend, as a really happy customer of Tamara's, to really check her out on her website. Tamara, do you want to share a little bit about you and where people can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work one-on-one with clients, and everything is super tailored towards them. So I don't just put people on a generic blood sugar protocol. It's really designed and tailored to their life and their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in just learning more about that, or I just try and post good resources on my website, on my blog, and on Instagram as well. And so my Instagram is Tamara Luck RDN for registered dietitian nutritionist. And my website is theluckwellnessco.com. And so that's where all my blog posts are.
Okay, awesome. I'll have it kind of linked in the Substack text if you guys are looking at that. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this interview and lots more content to come. Please subscribe, and bye guys. Thank you.
Thank you.